Def Leppard, synonymous with rock anthems and enduring success, has lived through more than just fame and fortune. Their journey through personal losses, intense pressure, and incredible comebacks is as legendary as their music. This is the story of perseverance, brotherhood, and a band that refused to quit, even when everything seemed lost. But how Def Leppard formed? The rise of Def Leppard, born in Sheffield, forged by fire. Def Leppard's story began in the working-class steel city of Sheffield, England in 1977. It was there that a teenage guitarist named Pete Willis, a student at Tapton School, dreamed of forming a rock band. He joined forces with bassist Rick Savage, and together they created the band that would eventually become Def Leppard. They brought in drummer Tony Kenning and later found a charismatic young singer named Joe Elliott, who had originally auditioned as a guitarist. The name, Def Leppard, came from Elliott's idea. It was a stylized spelling of Def Leppard, inspired by Led Zeppelin and other bands of the time. The band's classic lineup solidified with the addition of drummer Rick Allen and the legendary guitarist Steve Clark, who would bring both power and pain to their sound. Their big break came after releasing the EP, the Def Leppard EP, which gained attention from the British music press and led to a deal with Mercury Records. From there, their rise was explosive. Their debut album On Through the Night came out in 1980, followed by High and Dry in 1981, both establishing them as major players in the new wave of British heavy metal. Then came Pyromania in 1983, an album that changed everything. Produced by the meticulous and innovative Mutt Lange, it featured a polished, radio-friendly sound and spawned hits like Photograph and Rock of Ages. It sold over 10 million copies in the US alone, catapulting Def Leppard into superstardom. But with every triumph, tragedy lurked nearby. Rick Allen's life-changing accident. In the closing hours of 1984, drummer Rick Allen was driving through Sheffield with his girlfriend Miriam when a tragic car crash changed his life forever. Attempting to overtake another vehicle, Allen lost control. Although he was wearing his seatbelt, the crash was severe. He was thrown from the vehicle and his left arm was severely injured. Doctors initially managed to reattach the arm, but complications led to it being surgically removed. At the time, even his bandmates thought his drumming days were over. But Allen stunned the world with a comeback. Using a specially designed electronic drum kit, he reinvented his style and rejoined Def Leppard for live shows less than 2 years later. What fans didn't see was the emotional toll. Allen later admitted that he buried his trauma beneath work and performance, eventually developing an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. After a serious incident in 1997, he entered a healing journey that began in earnest when he met his future wife, Lauren, in 2000. Recording Nightmare, The Curse of Hysteria. Following their breakthrough album Pyromania, Def Leppard faced sky-high expectations for the follow-up. The road to Hysteria was rocky, plagued by exhaustion, missteps, and near breakdowns. Producer Robert "Mutt" Lange initially stepped away due to fatigue, and the label brought in Jim Steinman, known for his work with Meat Loaf. However, the sessions didn't click. The band eventually paid Steinman to step away without recording a single song. Then came Rick Allen's accident, throwing the project further into uncertainty. Miraculously, Allen's quick return allowed them to continue, and Lange rejoined the project. But in a bold move, he scrapped 16 months' worth of recordings, forcing them to start over, racking up production costs so high they needed to sell 5 million copies just to break even. Despite all odds, Hysteria went on to become a massive hit, selling over 10 million copies. More delays, more heartbreak. As 1987 began, things were finally falling into place, until Mutt Lange was injured in a serious car crash, delaying production again. Soon after, Joe Elliott fell ill with the mumps during the final stages of recording. The team felt cursed, emotionally and physically exhausted. Rick Allen compared the long recording sessions to being stuck in a prison. But the payoff was monumental. Hysteria became a genre-defining album, showcasing how far Def Leppard was willing to go for perfection. The cost of success, struggles with addiction. Behind the glamour of global tours and chart-topping records, several band members fought private battles with substance dependence. Founding guitarist Pete Willis was let go during the making of Pyromania due to his drinking. Though disappointed, Willis later acknowledged that the decision may have saved his life. His replacement, Phil Collen, initially indulged heavily as well, especially with fellow guitarist Steve Clark. Dubbed the Terror Twins, The duo lived the fast life, but Clark's dependence became deeply concerning. After Rick Allen's traumatic accident, he too struggled with substance use and eventually entered a recovery program. Steve Clark's silent battle. Steve Clark was a creative powerhouse for the band, but privately he was overwhelmed. After Phil Collen embraced sobriety in 1987, Clark found himself more isolated than ever. In 1989, Clark collapsed in a London bar. The band intervened, encouraging him to enter rehab, where he met Janie Dean. The two fell in love and pledged to recover together. But sadly they began enabling each other after leaving treatment. A loss that nearly ended it all. On January 8, 1991, tragedy struck. Steve Clark passed away at just 30 years old after an accidental combination of medication and alcohol. His fiancée Janie Dean would tragically pass in a similar manner a few years later. Clark's passing devastated the band. Phil Collen considered leaving music altogether. But a heartfelt conversation with Joe Elliott changed his mind. Elliott reminded him that Steve would never have wanted the band to fall apart because of him. In 1992, Vivian Campbell joined as Clark's replacement. The band honored their fallen friend by continuing the legacy they had built together. Tension and divorces. Rock stardom often strains relationships, and Def Leppard's members were no exception. Every member of the band has gone through at least one divorce. Joe Elliott married Carla in 1989 but divorced in 1996. Rick Allen faced serious relationship challenges as well, leading to his divorce in 2000 before remarrying in 2003. Phil Collen and Vivian Campbell also experienced marriage breakdowns. These personal struggles mirrored the chaos in their professional lives, though most of them would eventually find happiness and stability again. Fighting for respect. Despite selling over 100 million albums and dominating charts for decades, Def Leppard has often been underrated by critics. They were unfairly boxed into the hair metal category, a label the band strongly rejects. Joe Elliott pointed out that their polished, complex sound, especially on Hysteria, set them apart from their peers. But commercial success was often met with critical dismissal. Nevertheless, they continued to break barriers and attract fans across generations. Legacy beyond tragedy. The story of Def Leppard isn't just one of hardship, it's about resilience. From Rick Allen's comeback to the band's ability to carry on after Steve Clark's death, they've shown an unmatched will to persevere. Their music remains timeless, and the personal battles they've survived only make their legacy more powerful. Def Leppard is more than a band. They're proof that even in the darkest moments, creativity, brotherhood, and strength can keep the flame alive. They've stood the test of time, not just as musicians but as survivors. From the depths of personal pain to the heights of global success, Def Leppard's journey is a testament to the power of music, resilience, and loyalty. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like, comment, and subscribe for more stories behind the legends. This is Fame Diaries. Thank you and God bless.